Remember this, two grown men arguing over who the father of a baby is, only to find out it's a third guy?
Our baby may not be yours.
Or that one time someone revealed they were secretly dating their stepbrother?
Well, I'm pregnant with my brother's, I'm pregnant by my brother.
Jerry.
Yeah, those were the glory days of the Jerry Springer Show. The show that taught us that moral boundaries were optional and that throwing a chair at someone's face was a valid form of communication. But like all great things, Jerry Springer had its downfall. What went wrong? Was it inevitable that a show built on chaos would eventually spiral out of control? At some point, the show went from iconic to outright absurd. How did it go from guilty pleasure to a parody of itself? Let's rewind to where it all started. Believe it or not, Jerry Springer was once a respected man. Seriously. In the 1970s, he was a serious journalist and even the mayor of Cincinnati.
If government, any government, is to have any positive effect on our lives.
Yep, the man who would later be known as the king of trash TV once had a political career. After a political scandal, he paid for escort services with a check. No joke, he transitioned to media.
Please stay with us and find out.
In 1991, he launched his own talk show, The Jerry Springer Show. And at first, it was boring. This was still a decent talk show. It covered current events, family issues, and serious discussions. But as we all know, reasonableness doesn't sell. When the ratings refused to climb, the team decided to make a drastic change. What if we stripped out the serious parts and left only pure drama and chaos? And it worked. People loved the scandals, the fights, and the most bizarre revelations imaginable. From that moment on, The Jerry Springer Show became a phenomenon. In the late 90s and early 2000s, you couldn't turn on the TV without seeing people screaming at each other and throwing chairs. The more outrageous the guests, the higher the ratings climbed. People would call in advance to ask if they could appear on the show, sometimes even exaggerating or fabricating stories just to get their 15 minutes of fame. The line between reality and performance blurred, and suddenly, Springer wasn't just a talk show, he was a cultural phenomenon. Celebrities even started referencing the show in movies and TV. Comedians joked about it in stand-up routines.
We'd watch Springer, and then at 2:30 in the morning, it would be on again. So that's usually when we rolled in from shows, so we'd just kind of meet in the living room and watch Springer again.
And late-night hosts couldn't resist making fun of the absurdity. But what began as entertainment for the masses soon turned into something else entirely. Springer himself became a reluctant icon, almost like a circus ringmaster who realized the animals were now running the show. While he embraced his role as the ringmaster of chaos, he often downplayed his involvement in the downfall of television. In interviews, he admitted that his show was silly and mindless entertainment.
My show is plain stupid. I mean, it's just...
Yet he also recognized that it reflected a growing appetite for sensationalism. As the show's popularity soared, other networks took notice. Soon, imitators popped up everywhere. Shows like Maury, Ricky Lake, and even Dr. Phil adopted elements of Springer's formula. The age of trash TV had officially arrived. But when did it start going wrong? Well, somewhere in the mid-2000s, audiences began to suspect something. Was this scripted? Audiences started noticing that the reactions seemed exaggerated, the confrontations too perfectly timed, and the guests sometimes felt more like bad actors than real people. At first, the show felt like a social train wreck you couldn't look away from. But slowly, the stories started becoming too absurd. It seemed like producers were desperately trying to make each episode crazier than the last.
Please meet Mark. He's been together with his wife for 10 years and married for the last 5. But before we talk to Mark, let's meet his wife.
What? What once felt scandalous yet believable began turning into a live-action meme, like watching a scripted reality show where everyone forgot their lines but kept shouting anyway. And people started realizing that many of the guests might not be entirely real. Additionally, the shock factor wore off. In the 90s, it was groundbreaking to hear people openly talk about cheating. By the 2000s, the internet had already taken over that role. Even behind the scenes, things were starting to unravel. Reports surfaced of former guests admitting They were encouraged to play up their emotions or even fabricate entire stories. Some claimed they had been promised money or other incentives just to appear on the show.
We had to put the sentence together and make a story out of the sentences that he gave us.
So did you rehearse?
Yeah, for about a day and a half.
And let's not forget the lawsuits. Plenty of former guests ended up suing the producers, claiming they were misled, manipulated, or even put in danger.
The Jerry Springer Show a fake, the fights rehearsed, the guests coached in what to say and do.
But the biggest issue, audiences were simply moving on. Reality TV was evolving. Audiences weren't just watching drama unfold. They were participating in it through social media, making Springer's staged chaos feel obsolete. Newer shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians and The Real Housewives brought drama in a more polished, high-production format. And meanwhile, social media made it easier than ever to witness real-life drama unfold in real time.
About hoeing, and you need to start getting your...
At the same time, television as a whole was shifting. People weren't just consuming content, they were curating their own personalized drama playlists on YouTube and Twitter. The explosion of streaming services meant audiences had more choices than ever. The days of flipping through daytime TV and stumbling upon Jerry Springer were fading. Now people could curate their own entertainment, leaving Springer's formula behind. Perhaps the most ironic twist? In his later years, Springer tried to pivot back to more serious content. His final TV gig was hosting a courtroom reality show, Judge Jerry, in which he presided over small claims cases. A full circle moment, but it was too little, too late.
Quiet! Get out of this court right now.
I will.
The first cracks were showing, but this was just the beginning. For a show built entirely on chaos, there were surprisingly clear warning signs that it was spinning out of control. By the late 2000s, people had already started suspecting that the fights weren't just spontaneous, they were scripted.
Claims was totally fabricated by Springer producer Norm LeBeau.
He gave us a written script, like a starting of a sentence, and then what we had to do was we had to put the sentence together and make a story out of the sentences that he gave us.
But the real breaking point? 2010. When actual actors started appearing as guests, producers weren't even trying to hide it anymore. Then came the lawsuits. Guests came forward, claiming they were manipulated into lying. Some were allegedly promised money or encouraged to exaggerate. Others said they were blindsided by producers who tricked them into thinking they were on a normal talk show. And of course, we can't forget the tragic aftermath. Some guests who appeared on the show faced serious consequences afterward. Social humiliation, online harassment, and in some cases, even violence. There were even reports of guests facing mental health struggles after their televised humiliation. Springer himself eventually admitted that the show was pure spectacle. In a 2014 interview, he flat out said,
"No, the show's stupid. I mean, to be honest, it's ridiculous."
Yeah, Jerry, we noticed. The more ridiculous the show got, the more people stopped taking it seriously. What was once shocking became predictable. The producers kept trying to up the ante, but eventually there was nowhere left to go. When every episode follows the same formula, cheating, fighting, chair throwing, the shock factor disappears. Even the audience seemed to stop caring. In earlier seasons, you could see genuine reactions: shock, disbelief, excitement. By the 2010s, they were just waiting for the next brawl. At some point, even the fights became stale. The same slow buildup, the same predictable security intervention. It was like watching a rerun every single episode. And the guests? They became more exaggerated, as if trying to outdo the previous ones. Many former guests even admitted later that they were encouraged by producers to act more dramatic or even fake certain elements of their stories. Some were given specific lines to say, while others were simply cast because they looked the part of a stereotypical Springer guest. Now you'd think that after decades of chair throwing and fake cheating scandals, Springer's formula would have died a natural death. But no, instead it mutated.
Pick up the dog crap off the floor!
Springer may have ended in 2018, but its legacy lives on in the worst way possible. Everything is fake. What started as real reactions devolved into cartoonish nonsense. Even reality TV today feels less real than old Springer episodes. It's all about viral moments. The show stopped caring about storytelling. All that mattered was getting the most insane 30-second clip that would go viral on YouTube. Nobody cared anymore. By the 2010s, the audience wasn't even invested. They were just waiting for the next chair to fly. And let's talk about memes.
Hey, this is for the whale on the end. You said you have 5 kids, but have any of them popped out yet?
In the internet age, Springer became a punchline. People stopped discussing the stories and instead just joked about how ridiculous they were. Even TikTok clips of Springer's show are treated like ironic content. Nobody takes it seriously anymore. Springer himself became more of a meme than a host.
Let's be honest, virtually anyone could do what I do.
The bigger issue, we don't need Springer anymore. We have Twitter fights, YouTube call-out videos, and influencer scandals happening live. Why watch staged drama when you can witness real internet beef unfold in real time? Even TV networks tried to capitalize on the trend, replacing Springer-style talk shows with more elaborate reality formats. But none had the same impact because the shock factor was gone. Springer's influence isn't just in talk shows anymore, it's everywhere. YouTube drama channels, reality dating shows, and even influencer boxing matches all owe something to the formula Springer perfected. The problem is, it's all so overexposed that even the most ridiculous drama feels stale now.
So thanks for the 25 years. We've signed on to do a whole bunch more.
The Springer formula just doesn't work today. Not because people have changed, but because the media landscape has. Drama is everywhere. Outrage isn't shocking anymore, it's the default. When daily headlines sound faker than old Springer storylines, how can staged drama compete? The internet flooded us with spectacle, influencer feuds, true crime exposés, AI-generated conspiracies. In a world where Logan Paul is boxing ex-UFC champions and deepfake scandals are the norm, a paternity test reveal just doesn't hit the same. Audiences have moved on. Ironically, after years of over-the-top chaos, people crave something different. Documentaries, true crime, even reality TV that at least pretends to be real. And Jerry? Well, he tried to adapt. Yes, this man, once the king of trash TV, tried to become a serious judge. And nobody cared. Even the networks knew the format was dead. Judge Jerry lasted only a few seasons before being quietly canceled. It was as if the world had collectively decided, we've had enough Jerry Springer in our lifetime. So here's the big question. Was Jerry Springer ever good, or did we just not know any better? At the height of its success, people defended the show as mindless entertainment. It was something you watched when nothing else was on. But looking back, was it even entertainment, or was it just a train wreck we couldn't look away from? Maybe it's not that Jerry Springer got worse. Maybe we just got smarter. Or maybe reality TV just found new ways to be trashy. Let us know what you think in the comments.